She bolted and bucked her owner off, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of it. Let's get to work. Okay, guys, welcome back. We're here now, day 2 with Sierra, trying to get to the root of her bucking issue. Today, I'm going to teach her to follow a sensitive feel of my beam from a walk to a trot, introduce the first fear handling lesson, teach her the outside turns, and check the degree of buck that she has by roping her belly. Give her the prep. I'm going to count it out, 1001, 1002. So she turns right away. And she puts her head right down, so that's really good. Well, I'm going to stop and see if she passes my shoulder. Her showing acceptance to every command in the pecking order is a big part of how I take that mental resistance away. Okay, so she's just a little bit late now, so I'm going to go ahead and bring my beam all the way around. Right when my beam touches her tail, I'm going to start my taps and get that baby scoot right there. In order to have a conversation with her that's perfectly timed with her brain, I have to understand and watch for her resistances. Change in directions is a resistance. Turning towards me is what she's been taught she thinks is the right answer. We're going to address that later. But every time she changes directions, if I get in time with her brain, I can have a conversation. So there you can see she thinks she's supposed to do the inside turn. I'm just catching her in time to change directions with the outside turn. So she yields to pressure away from me. Light pressure put to a pattern gives her a choice. So I get mental acceptance to each lesson, one lesson at a time. That's where willingness shows up. Turn on the prep, slowly start to lift. She's right with me and drops her head right down first. The second part of this lesson, I'm going to take it a step further now. So what I taught her yesterday and just checked out today is how does she feel about moving from a standstill to a sensitive command? So now I'm going to open up another lesson. It's going to start all over from zero here. And I need to teach her that when my beam starts to close in on her, follow that feel. She's got 4 seconds to make a decision to trot without me tapping her. Because my beam is going to take 4 seconds to reach her tail, and that's when I'm going to trot. And I'll quit when she takes that trot without any tap. So here's the start. I'm going to start moving. As soon as she starts to walk, I'm going to drop my hand down. Oh, she's late. Okay, so now I just got to tap her because she was late from the original push, and I always got to stay true to my word. Always remember that a horse only has 3 ways to evade a command. The fight instinct will make them late to respond to a command. The flight instinct makes them anticipate the command and move before you ask, and do the opposite will cause them to want to do the opposite of what the command is asking. The journey is learning how to handle each one of those evasions. And that's why you're here. Now this time again, I'm going to check her out. See, she's still thinking about direction change, so I'm going to start her up again. Here's the start of the command. As soon as she walks on, I drop my hand down so she gets that reward, but my body keeps going. Start tightening my core and taking it to her tail. 1002, 1003, 1004. Right here, it can look like teaching sensitivity is causing the bolt, but that's not what's really happening. When a horse first learns to respond to light pressure, they'll sometimes challenge it. My taps motivate her when she's late, so she becomes sensitive to the cue, but the lesson doesn't end until she stops challenging the direction and speed, then follows a feel. That's where the restart and release conversation come in. When she finally accepts the direction and stays with the feel, the bolt disappears. Resentment comes from a horse feeling forced to do the commands. That's why it's so important to slow down, give the horse time to choose to do every lesson. Horses choosing to do the lesson takes that resentment away. The pecking order is giving up that leadership. Submission can't be taken, it's got to be given. On this lesson is making sure I can tighten up my core, take that beam up towards her tail, and have her respond like that, and then immediately release for that and quit that direction. We identify that by the melt or acceptance. I got to start her up again because I didn't ask for the direction change yet. So as this gets cleaned up, she's going to do just what I ask, when I ask, the direction I ask, the speed that I ask. 1001, 1002, and release right away. Start again. 1001, 1002, release right away. You could see that head coming up and see that body language that she showed right there. That's just that resistance. So she's walking by my shoulder line, so I'm just going to start walking with her. Lift my hand to help her, release my hand, but keep my body walking. So, excuse me. All I'm trying to do is put tools on her so she follows a feel from the lift of my hand, the turn of my belly button towards her, that angle is increased pressure, or any speed change in my legs, right? That's her following a feel. And when you think about it, that's what I'm going to do when I'm riding her. So what it's taught me as a rider, instead of, you know, kicking them to go, or if they didn't go, kick them harder till they went and then back off. And then if they didn't stop, pull them harder. All that's doing is making them go. It's pressure and release, but it's not a conversation. Rather, you're trying to teach them that moving their feet is the best deal for them. So you're training on the brain, not so much the body. So now I've got her kind of following a feel. I'm going to see if I can tighten up the core on this side, right? Okay. So I'm going to start now, 1001, 1002. See how she's flinchy and jumping out of there?
Yeah.
So I'm going to back off for that, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to get rid of and balance her out, because the sensitivity, she can't stay in a conversation with me if she's too sensitive.
So would you say she's a sensitive horse?
Well, you can make them all sensitive, but you can make them too sensitive.
But as a general rule,
she's sensitive.
Would you say she's a sensitive horse?
Yeah, she's bred to be that way, right? I mean, she's a performance horse. There, that beam comes again. Tighten it up, tighten it up, tighten it up. See how she just on the verge of waiting too long, but notice that time, as soon as I stopped, she stopped, because she was leaning on me.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do, is balance out the fight and flight instinct. You know, that the instincts that I'm working on is the flight. That's the reactive. That's what makes her sensitive, is when she's reactive.
Yeah.
But too much is not good. And then the fight is the lean, when she waits, and too much of that's no good. We want them right in the middle. So they're easy to move, but easy to stop. So I'm going to check her one more time. That time was pretty good about her following the feel. I'm just going to do it one more time and make sure she'll get off that beam pressure. 1001, 1002. Release, that's good. I'm gonna wait until she's over here so the camera can see. Start my core intensifying, 1001, 1002, 1003. Oop, she took off. I'm gonna come back and stop. So I'm definitely gonna give her that, because that's all I wanted to teach her. That was the difference of the lesson from yesterday, was I moved her from a standstill, had to scoot her a couple times, release for just one step.
Yeah.
That's a reward. Now I worked on sending from my beam, had to scoot her a couple times, released the second she responded. Because if I want my horse to learn to follow a feel, I need to release the second they think about going into second gear.
Right.
Release for that. Now I'm going to balance her out. So I found it's one of those deals that I'm teaching her how to handle pressure versus desensitizing her.
Yeah.
So it's just out of the blue pressure with this whip pretty hard. And this is when you see her make those quick decisions, right? Back and forth. And as soon as she stands still for 4 seconds, count it out and then quit. But she's got to, I can't count until all 4 feet are stopped. And if I'm at 3 and she moves a foot, I got to recount all over again.
Okay.
And then I just progress, take 1 step closer to her, out of the blue again. And it's all patterned, keeping everything in balance. Having her super sensitive, right? Cold as ice. Like she can be so feely. I can blow on her and move her, but so cold in this exercise, I can run to her and she won't move a muscle. Just keeping that balance there. So You can see the pattern. She settled right into there. She realized I'm not going to do anything, and they all find this pretty quick. And if they run around here for 30 minutes, they need to. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is teach her the outside turns so that I have control of her when I'm roping her belly. Thousand two, there we go. Keep in mind that I have to deliver that command in a way that she has a choice. All she can do is run away from that command, lean on the command, or do the opposite of the command. So here's the prep. This is the prep for an outside turn. And then I just rotate right up to her eye. And as soon as the stick touches her eye, when I go back the other way, she gives a turn. So I like that turn, the responsiveness of it. I just didn't like the reactiveness of it. Okay, so I'm going to do it again this side. Prep, rotate up to her eye. See that second guessing right there? I want to clean that up. So I'm going to add a little bit of speed. So I'm back up into a trot again. So I got her at a trot, moved off my beam really nice. Here's the prep, and then just roll up to her eye. Again, pretty aggressive. So I'm just going to lift and go again because there, see, there's the runaway right there I was talking about.
There's the bolt.
Yeah, that's the bolt.
This is a better example of her bolting because it wasn't from me tapping her. It actually happened because of me adding control where she had built up resentment. Her resistance to that control is what caused the bolt. Most people would try to stop a horse here, but the horse continues to run away mentally even if you stop their feet. That's why it continues to reoccur in different situations. That's why we work through it here at Liberty, where it's safe to find the bolt, remove it, and let the pattern show us when it's truly gone.
I want this decision of her running away to last long enough that she says, well, that was a silly idea. I don't want to do that again. There, see her slowing down?
Well, wasn't that nice that we saw the bolt?
Hey?
It was nice to see the bolt.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we might not ever see anything.
Yeah, well, like I said, when all these there, see, she's trying to control me. See, she wanted to turn in and stop me right there.
Yeah.
So I just got to keep my legs. It's like I'm on a schedule. Very robotic, very rhythmic, exactly the same pressure. I'm controlling that pressure.
Yeah.
And you can see my shoulder line is slightly ahead of her nose. So there's more distance between my belly button and her tail than my shoulder line to her nose.
Yeah.
So she's still running away. So I'm just going to wait until that changes. I'm going to wait until my belly button is on her tail more. Now I know I'm pushing more. That's slowly happening. Now you can see my shoulder line there. See, now my beam is closer to her tail than my shoulder line is to her nose. Right? So when I stop a runaway horse, I want it to be because I slow down and take the pressure away from her tail, like that, only giving her the boundary of my shoulder line.
Yeah.
And if she don't take it, go back up, slowly catch up to her till I'm pushing her. There, now I'm pushing her again. Hold that for a circle or two. And then start to slow down again. Because I want to stop the runaway from pressure coming off, not pressure coming on. Now, because she ran away that direction, I got to do this again. I got to turn on, slowly pick up the energy, release for the walk. Now I'm going to put her back into a trot with my belly button up to her tail. Up to her tail.
Yeah, no, I think that was a really excellent example. As soon as you started putting a little pressure on her, she started her antics.
Yeah. So here's the prep for the outside turn. She's kind of running from it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave it there and not let her run by my shoulder. Leave it there. I'm going to turn her on the next lap. I'm just going to roll around, bring the stick to her eye, and come way over here. Put her up into a trot.
A lot of her resistance comes from what I call inside turn contamination. That is a command that has been forced on her without her making a choice. And that resistance takes me a while to get out of her. That's why I sped the video up. You'll see the end of this lesson, how she follows a feel and makes a soft, pretty turn. The only thing that allows me to stay in time with a horse's brain is a God-giving understanding of how to have a conversation with them. Every command I ask, I'm watching closely to see what survival instinct she uses to evade that command. Inside turn contamination comes from the misunderstanding that when horses turn away from you, they're being disrespectful. That puts the handler in a wrong emotion to correct that wrong turn resistance. When I see it, I use my communication pattern to time the release to the exact moment she accepts that piece of control, one piece at a time. That's how leadership shows up so quickly with just one lesson. The conversation I'm having now is about runaway. I need her to follow the feel of my beam. So once I ask her to turn, when I put her up into a trot, that's when she runs away and tries to leave the feel of my beam. I need her to only go as fast as I'm asking her to go, and this will make her easier to ride and take that bolt out of her from this liberty lesson. She's coming to the end of it now. You'll see her start to slow down and follow a feel and do a very nice turn. Okay, guys, so we're back. We give her a 3 or 4 hour break, Sierra here. So what I'm going to do now is rope her belly and see just how much buck we have there. And all the lessons I've done leading up to this point is to just do data check and see if I can find out where the root of the buck is. I think it's resentment, build up resentment paired with blowing through restraint aids and commands things.
Yeah.
They have to handle fear and they have to surrender in the pecking order to each aid so that they're sensitive. And they also have to yield to a restraint pressure. So those 3 things. So she's good about this. If she'll let me just put it on, sometimes I'll send them out there and rope them, but I want to get as much data as I can on just this girth issue stuff. So I'm just going to back away and get her to step through that. It's the easiest way to do it. Like she feels pretty solid. Like if I'd have tried this earlier, I'm not sure she would have stood for me, but she's doing just what I ask. Oh yeah, she feels pretty flinchy there. So I want to always put the Hondu so it falls down on this side, this strand up in the main so it holds up there, and then use my angle to step back behind her so I can send her into a trot and then pull. Yeah, there it is. And it's really important that I hang on to that. Make sure it don't get lighter. That's the only answer, is she has to stop for 4 seconds, hold, and then let go.
All right.
So now you see why I really put that up in the main. In fact, I'm going to start it up there again because it moved back about a foot. I'd like to move back 2 inches at a time through that girth because she's definitely feely from the girth. Every step I take, you'll see is behind her, every step I take. But if I step out here, she's going to stop and go the other way. So yeah. She's that sensitive to feel. I just have to run this rope and keep walking back here. And a lot of times what I'll do is get 2 people to do this. So it's a 2-man team. One person sends her and one person kind of stands in the middle and runs the rope. And there's that button I was looking for, right? So I got to hang on to this one.
She really, I am so surprised, I got to tell you.
So the buck is not that big. If you watch her front feet, it's all kick.
Yeah.
So So that's the first time she really stopped on her own. Wasn't for me trying to step out and stop her, just let her stop, hold it for 4 seconds, and then shake that out again. Once you get back to her flanks, it's important not to pull very hard because you'll burn her back there because that flank's stretching when she kicks.
Right.
So that'll really burn her easy.
In the first two parts of Sierra's transformation, we started uncovering the resistance behind the bucking and bolting. But now we need to look deeper at how she handles fear. When we start exposing her to pressure around the ears and the flag, something important shows up. The flag isn't the real problem. It simply exposes her resistance to yielding to restraint pressure. And that's where the real root of the bucking and bolting begins to show itself. When a horse believes it can pull through restraint pressure, it always has one last option: speed. That's why these explosions seem to happen out of the blue. Nothing scared her. She already decided she could run through the control. So in the next part, we're going to work on two things that change everything for this horse. First, we're going to teach her how to handle fear instead of reacting to it. And second, we're going to address that resistance to restraint pressure that the flag just revealed. Because once those two things come together, the bucking and bolting disappear. I'll show you exactly how to do that in part 3.